If you're an altcoin holder, it is coming down to this. It's coming down to the wire. This is Bitcoin dominance chart. Right now, if you go look at the altcoin charts on the monthly, this is excluding top 10 in terms of dominance, multi-month failure for altcoins. All the way back to this kind of green monthly candle, that was the fake out. Many people thinking that that was the moment that the altcoin bull market was triggered. May is becoming a very critical time to watch altcoins because something drastic needs to happen on this Bitcoin dominance chart. My thesis being tested right now. Hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. Let's jump into it. This is one of those times as like a crypto content creator where I really gotta put myself out there and I gotta stick to the analysis that I've done. Part of my thesis for this bull cycle is an altcoin bull cycle, and I'm still quite confident about the altcoin bull market. But let's be real. This thesis is being very much tested. And what I mean by that is this rectangle that you see Bitcoin dominance on the weekly trending into is a very key area. That is the last bull market cycle, like swing high back here to swing low of the dominance chart. And it's just a lower high range, that green channel. It's a lower high range. We've waited so long for Bitcoin dominance to even test the range. And now it's making its way into the range. And this has always been in play, right? The upper end of the range around 65% dominance, the lower end 59, 60% dominance. Last cycle, Bitcoin dominance made its way to a lower high Fibonacci multiple times and then fell right there. There's altcoin season being triggered. So I want to show you something. We're going to talk more about this weekly chart, and then we're going to look at altcoins. We're going to look at the altcoin charts. I want to look more at this weekly in terms of bearish divergence potentially, but I want to show you something on the monthly. Here's what the monthly looks like. Bitcoin just going crazy. But if you open up the oscillators, first off on the monthly, the most overbought it's ever been on the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, but it's this MACD. What this says to me is, or what it paints the picture for me is this. Altcoin season, it's nowhere on the radar. It's not even, as far as me saying the altcoin bull market has not happened yet, this is the best picture of that. So for instance, this is a Bitcoin dominance MACD. There's altcoin season, right? Here's kind of the beginning of altcoin season right there. Here's 2 cycles ago, altcoin season. There's been no altcoin season. This is kind of a good thing, actually, if you're an altcoin holder, because it is to say that I think there's kind of a fear out there like, man, the bull market already happened and altcoins just got left out. I don't think the bull market happened, and I'm going to talk about more of that on the altcoin charts that we're going to look at. And if that's the case, after all of this Bitcoin dominance, the Bitcoin dominance bulls in control, something special could be on the short-term horizon for altcoins. Back to the dominance chart. This is where we can start talking about that or evaluating that hopium that I just threw out there, right? This is what it looks like on the weekly. What's happening here? On the RSI, we have another lower high right now in play while Bitcoin dominance sees a higher high. This is some bearish divergence, right? So last time we had bearish divergence was back here when we were all thinking, man, altcoin season triggered. We were having bearish divergence there, meaning a lower high at this moment and a higher high on Bitcoin dominance. And then boom, Bitcoin dominance fell. Bitcoin dominance is only 0.5% away from the upper end of the bull market doors, breaking above 65%. It could happen so fast, right? So I don't know how this is going to play out, but I can say this, even on the short term, as we get ready to enter May, this is becoming very important, the shorter term moves on Bitcoin dominance, because what happens here? Will there be a lower high put into place and then this starts falling? We get that bearish divergence playing out and then Bitcoin dominance starts falling. I don't know, but it is absolutely one of the main charts as a big altcoin holder that I'm watching right now. Now, with that being said, I want to go look at some altcoin charts. And before I do that, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. There's probably no better video to shout out itrustcapital, crypto IRA, best product in the space. Buy and sell crypto, gold and silver with your IRA. The tax advantages are crazy, everybody. And in terms of Bitcoin dominance and altcoins, what I mean by this is this. Pretend you have an altcoin And pretend last cycle you had some altcoins, right? And you're just getting all these altcoin gains as we go into altcoin season, and you didn't take profit, right? So say that happens again. You're not taking profit. Having an IRA, a crypto IRA, allows you to, if you start seeing altcoins gain dominance, we get an altcoin bull market, you're seeing gains. If you want to move those gains to BTC at this moment, or to fiat, whatever, if altcoins are seeing gains, you can do that in an iTrust crypto IRA tax-free. This is just such a good product for long-term investors, long-term people that are like, you know what? I'm going to be maybe making macro trades. I'm a long-term investor. I'm in it for the long haul. This is the product that really helps because there's so much leverage in terms of doing those macro trades tax-free. 13 billion in transactions and 200,000 plus accounts, everybody. Go sign up. Hit the link below and shout out to itrustcapital for sponsoring the video. Altcoin charts. Here's a piece of visual hopium. We just looked at the MACD on Bitcoin dominance and we just said, you know what? This is what altcoin season looks like on the Bitcoin dominance MACD. Haven't had it yet. And we just look at the monthly, the most overbought it's ever been. Well, if you start looking at altcoin charts, like for on the weekly, for instance, look what's happening from a momentum perspective. We're basically in this bottoming out territory on the RSI. On the slower moving momentum oscillator, altcoins have bottomed out once again. They've consolidated. And what's so great about this is we can't ignore what's happening right now. If we look at this altcoin chart, this was one of the highest fear events in just recent years. This is a record-breaking high fear event, and this is how altcoins held up. You saw traditional markets crash. We saw the fear and volatility S&P 500 index go crazy high. Fear levels of COVID, and here's what altcoins did. They survived. They put in a higher low. That happening while the RSI is just hanging out in this area where kind of, if you look at cycles past, has marked the bottom. This is bullish in my opinion. You look at the MACD, for instance, a slow shift on the altcoin charts. This is a weekly MACD, a pivot. You see that blue line starting to pivot to the upside, the histogram starting to pivot to the upside. Going into May, this is becoming quite critical. So if we're looking at this now from a little different perspective, look at just excluding top 10, right? Because this chart is excluding Bitcoin, this altcoin chart. If we look at dominance excluding the top 10, this is what we're looking at. And I don't know about you, but yes, if you just look at this mess, it looks terrible. But if you zoom out and you look at any time this type of mess has happened on this chart, look back like cycles ago. Doesn't matter. Anytime this has happened on this monthly chart, that has basically been a bottom. It's marked a bottom. And so I don't know. Obviously, there's like just a couple of days left of April, and I don't know exactly how this candle will close. I don't know how May will go, but I will tell you one thing: when you look back at this chart and you see this type of move on the monthly chart, and you see it at an RSI level where, you know, traditionally this has been a bottoming out area, it's only a matter of time, I think, before altcoins really start stepping up their game. And I want to turn this to the daily chart to show you something, because a lot of people are probably like, well, how? When? What's going on? I want to just point your attention to M2 global liquidity. If crypto is following this trend, as many people think it is, this altcoin chart might begin making its journey to the upside. And if that's the case, and it outperforms Bitcoin, if altcoins outperform Bitcoin, we might see this Bitcoin chart on the weekly start falling. How it interacts with this Fibonacci that is testing the upper end of the Fibonacci is going to be so interesting to me to see in the coming weeks. I'll track it, but that's all we can do is track it and prepare for every scenario. So I appreciate you cruising through. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit that iTrustCapital link, get signed up with them. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.